sponsored by Crown Technology Consultants, where we fix it right at your site. You can reach us for any type of on-site or in-house repair at 678-398-9123, or you can send us an email to info@computercrown.com. We will service you with the professionalism and royalty that you deserve. Now, continuing on our Vista track, as you know, Vista came out January 29th, and it's an opportunity for people to really unleash the power of the new computers or upgrade their XP to a new system. We always get asked, why do you need to upgrade? What's the difference? Well, today is the show that you've been waiting for. We're going to show you the difference. What can Vista do that XP could never do? Or could it? Let's begin. All right. First, it's called Search from Anywhere. Now, Search from Anywhere really means search from anywhere on your computer. With XP, you're limited to only 3 areas to search from. And that's from the Start menu. That is from the Search menu on Internet Explorer or the Windows Explorer, or the application search itself. Vista, however, has a little surprise for you. You have way more options to search from, and we're going to show you them right now. Now, you can search from the Start panel, from inside Windows Explorer, and you can actually save any search that you create to a folder. What does that mean to you? That means if you're searching for the same thing every week, why don't you have a special folder that will dynamically, that means update all the time, all the content in there as you're doing the search. So, I'm trying to find searches right now. Okay, well, let's see what happens. I'm going to show you a panel. Now, take a look at the screen. As you see, this is the Vista Start panel. It looks a little bit different than the XP Start panel, doesn't it? As you can see, you have the Network Connect to on the right-hand side. But look at the way at the bottom. As you see, it says, I can search for anything on my PC here. Now, it actually doesn't say that. I just typed that in. But if I wanted to, I can find anything, and it will show up right there on the Start panel. So it's not like I have to open up another window to see where my stuff is. Let's say I want to find, where did I leave that shortcut to Microsoft Word? Well, if I type in WORD, Microsoft Word will show up. Plus, every document created in Microsoft Word will show up. And what if I typed in Frazzlefrazz, my dog? It will show not only Frazzlefrazz in all of the documents that the dog's name is in, but everything else, either PowerPoint, pictures, whatever, that his name or likeness is in. Pretty cool, huh? That's a pretty nice trick. Now take a look over here. You can even search here. If you're in a Windows Explorer browser, you will be able to type in on the upper right-hand corner of every single Explorer window anything you want. And the results are, get this is the cool part. As you're typing in the search, it automatically actually populates the lower Explorer window with the information. In other words, if you're typing in ice cream, as you're typing in ICE, it's now populating everything that has ice in it. And when I type in CRE, and it filters automatically. You don't have to push enter or go or get on. It's doing it dynamically at the same time you're actually searching. That is just way cool. Now, another thing that Vista does that XP just can't do is called user access control. Well, what is user access control? That's right. Oh, yes. User access control is sort of protects the users from themselves. The major reason viruses attack is because of user stupidity. I hate to be blunt with you. Yeah, people do things that they really don't know what they're doing. And sometimes they'll delete files they're not supposed to, or they'll invite little pests into their computer that aren't supposed to be there. It's just one extra step of protection, really to help you from yourself, especially if you're new to computers. A lot of my clients who are new to computers actually tried this. It's a bit annoying at first because it stops you almost every time of every single aspect. But once you get used to it, the computer, it grows on you. But the major advantage of this is for the parental control part, and I'll talk about that later. But non-administrators now have to enter an admin password to continue. That makes it so, let's say I'm Johnny. I'm Johnny, and I have my parents' login, and all the files that Johnny wants to grab are on my parents' profile. Now, Johnny doesn't have much access, very limited. So what if he clicks on his parents' files of, I don't know, xxx.com. We all know what that means. What's going to happen is the computer's going to go back, and it's going to say, all right, if you're really Johnny's parents, what's the password? Johnny doesn't know the password. Oops, so bad for Johnny. Now, on XP, however, a lot of the accounts all have administrative rights, all of them. It's very easy to do that because they start off with that. So Johnny does the same thing. He goes to xxx.com. Ooh, Johnny. They show up right there. There's no filtering. So at Vista, at least there's an amount of protection. Of course, you have to set this up yourself. And like I said, next broadcast, we're going to show you how to do that. But for now, just trust me, set this up. This will really help you out in the long run from Johnny's eyes. Now, the next thing that Vista does that can really speed up your system is called Ready Boost. What is Ready Boost? Very simple. You know those USB sticks that you see for like $5.99 everywhere, and they have like a 1 gig or 2 gig, 3 gig? Did you know that you can supercharge your computer by plugging it right into Vista, into the USB port? Yes. Using a special flash drive, you can actually increase the RAM of the computer. Vista's requirements are pretty high. As I told you in the past, you need at least 2 gigabytes of RAM to get this horse rolling down the street. Most people have 512, maybe 1. What if you could pop another 1 gig in the USB port and make it 2 gigs? Now, it doesn't guarantee that it's going to run like it has 2 gigs, but at least it's sort of like an electric wheelchair, man. At least it gives you an extra push. I'd say it speeds the system up to 40%, and Lord, it's very easy to install. You plug it into the USB port, and a menu's going to pop up and say, hey, you just stuck a memory stick in there. What do you want to do? Do you want to store data to it, or do you want to speed up the computer? I want to speed up the computer for 100, pal. There you go. Therefore, you now have a little bit faster computer, especially for all those games you want to play. All right. The other thing that Vista does have is a much easier setup on the network. Oh, very easy. Okay. Before I go on to the next portion of that, I'm going to show you something do something real quick. Let's say you just brought your computer home. You're setting up Vista, first time ever. You have a Ethernet or network cable plugged directly into the computer, and the computer recognizes that it exists. Okay, that's the scenario. When you start up Vista, this is a cool thing. Now, I couldn't capture the screen because it's doing setup. Really can't do that. So I'm going to explain it to you the best I can. When you start Vista up for the first time, and it actually detects your network card, that's the key. If you see this screen, that means you don't have to install any drivers for your network card. It's going to stop and say, all right, are you in a home network, a work network, or a public network? They're going to ask you that. Home network is when you are at home, private area, there's really no one around, and you can share whatever you want, music, videos, with everyone. That's cool. A work environment is you're sharing in a closed environment, but surely you don't want to see the music and the videos of your coworkers. So they're blocked out. But the printer is shareable, and a couple of the key files are shareable. And of course, a public is like if you're in a Wi-Fi spot or Starbucks or Borders, you don't want anyone to see anything about you. So the only thing you're going to be able to share is the network itself, none of the resources. Getting to that, let's go. All right. In order to set that up, there are 5 total steps to add a PC to a wired or wireless. 5. That's it. Just 5. XP has 11. I counted this. 11 different ways for steps. And not only do you have to have 11 steps, you're going to actually need to have brain power, more than the crown in your head, to actually get that working if you're not a computer-savvy person. And getting to a printer, it only takes 3 steps to install a printer. Just 3. Whereas a XP machine, 7. And not only 7, you have to know a lot about your printer, like the IP address, which computer the printer is actually on, which network it's part of. A lot of things that someone like me would be more than happy to do. But if I'm not around, yeah, it's kind of tough. And one step, just one step to make all your files shareable, or not. Like I said, if you don't want all your files shared, click one button on Vista, done. With XP, you have to manually check every single folder that you want shared, all of them. If you have 6 folders shared, you have to do it 6 times. Vista, one shot, shuts everything down. Cool, man, just straight up cool. Now, before we say goodbye for this portion, we're going to show you things you could do to emulate Vista on your XP machine. What if you like XP, but you love the look of Vista, and you want to dress it up to make it look like XP? Well, this is what you can do. Here are the free items that you can do. As you can see, Windows Media Player 11, I showed you that last week. Internet Explorer 7, they're free, but you have to go to the websites of Microsoft and go get them. Google Desktop, what does Google Desktop do? It puts the sidebar up that Vista has. So you'll have a sidebar on the right-hand side with the clock, the weather, and things like that. Windows Defender, of course, the anti-spyware thing I told you about. That will allow you to protect you against anti-spyware, or spyware, things like that. Microsoft ActiveSync is for the Windows mobile devices. That includes like the Blackjack or the Trio or items like that. Vista comes with what is called the Windows Mobile Device Center, very executive. But for XP, it's called Microsoft ActiveSync. Now, if you're using a PDA and synchronizing it with Windows, you probably already have that one there. So those are the free items that you can get. Now, before I move on to other items, I want to just tell you about something called the Vista Transformation Pack. They're up to version 7 right now. If you do a search for Vista Transformation Pack on Google, you'll notice it. It's at windowsshrinex.net. That's right, windowsshrinex.net. Therefore, there's a link to get to the Vista Transformation Pack, and what it does is it will emulate all the looks of Vista, including the search panel, that search bar that I told you about at the beginning. Remember how I said, well, XP couldn't do that in his wildest dreams? Well, sort of can now. Not to the extent of Vista, not all the way through Vista, but XP can do it from the start panel, which is cool. It's a good start. It also changes the background, the skins, the wall screensavers, all that stuff. If you really like XP, but you like the look of Vista, then I would recommend that. However, if you really want to get down and dirty with a Vista look, you're going to have to kick us some cash. For instance, if you want the power of parental controls, you're going to pay $79.99 for the 2007 edition of Norton Internet Security. Now, if you want Microsoft Office protecting Outlook, you're going to have to pay $200 for that. Now, the reason why I put Outlook on here as a pay item is because Vista comes with a contact database, a calendar, and a to-do list already included with the system. So if you have an XP system, you're not going to have a fully featured address book. You're going to have a very low-key address book and no calendar. Outlook gives you those things, but for $200. Backup service, of course, $150 for a professional backup service, either online or I go by yearly, so $150 a year. So $150, or you're going to have to get a big backup system that comes with software for it to work. And if you like the pictures and videos part of Vista, which is really cool with the multimedia portion, you're going to pay about $99 for Photoshop. So you don't have to go to Vista, but you're going to kick out a lot of money if you like all the Vista features in your XP machine. So, yeah, there you go. That's it for this week. Now, next time, we're going to tell you in detail how parental control works and how it can help you protect your kitties. Again, my name is Eddie Hines, and I thank you so much for attending our little class. For more information for us and our website, please go to computercrown.com. Sign up to be a Crown Insider and get our Regal Resources e-zine. Don't worry, it's free. And we hope you learned something today. Thanks for watching, and have a blessed day. Hello, I'm Eddie Hines, and welcome to Computer Call for Help. Do 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 do. I am the king of computers. We are here to talk about Vista. Now, this show is sponsored by Crown Technology Consultants. Well, we're here to fix your site. Fix it right at your site. You can call us at 678-398-9123 if you have any computer needs, either PDAs, laptops, desktops, whatever. If it's busted, we'll do our best to fix it. You can always email us at info@computercrown.com. Now, this is more for the business side of the world. Not more the consumer, but yeah, the more business side. A lot of businesses are determining, hey, is this worth doing an upgrade? How much is it going to cost? We're going to go into the more serious side of Vista. See exactly what it is, how we got to where we are, and is it right for you or your company? So you ready? Buckle up. Let's go. Now, as you see, the wow starts now is what the slogan is for allowing you to have a better computer experience. We want you to have a better computer experience is what Microsoft claims. They heard the cries from Windows XP, and they wanted to see if they will be able to improve that experience for you. Security is the wow in Vista. As you see, why is Vista so big? Here it is. Well, they totally redid the architecture from the ground up. Totally different. That's why it took a little bit longer than expected to come out. It's a brand new kernel. Totally different than XP. Major shell enhancements. I mean, total different look, total different feel, total different way to navigate through the system. Very, very vast improvements on all customer categories, including business and consumers. During the past 5 years, they did feedback, and what the customer said we wanted, they tried to put this all into this operating system. And come on, it's been 5 years. It's time. It's time for a new It's time for something new, all right? But again, security is still the biggest reason why Vista is here, okay? Well, how did we get here? Where did we start from? Let's go back in time. Back to 2001. Okay. As you know, XP was released in October of 2001. The main thing about XP over the previous operating systems was the ability to plug and play. Plug and play. Pretty much it allows you to actually plug things in, get stuff started quicker, a better interface, better navigation. Security really wasn't the aspect on XP. Internet was, growing internet needs, and that's where XP really focused on. And then the lessons that we didn't learn, if it's not needed, why is it enabled by default? Like some IIS, which is an internet security thing, who needs it in a consumer product, okay? Even a Windows workstation doesn't need that turned on. And like I said, it didn't do anything to stop the attacks on Windows. We didn't know. We were dumb. Well, we weren't dumb until 2002 when the viruses started hitting. So, let's move on. We just got through a huge error with a lot of viruses and a lot of internet worms. Service Pack 2 fixed about 80% of those issues. We introduced Springboard technologies that were originally scheduled for Vista. We pushed them up because the need for it was so high. And take a look at the screen here. Windows Firewall, Security Center, IE, all those updates were ahead of its time because of the threat of security violations. So they got pushed up. Now, this could have been packaged as a totally separate Windows release. Think about it. Windows XP came out in 2001. Service Pack 2 came out in 2003. This could have been Windows 2003. Could have. But so we wouldn't confuse the customer, whether it be business or residential, we just called it a service pack. It makes it so it was free. And God forbid you don't want to pay anything extra for a Microsoft product. And it did take about a year to develop, so we didn't want you to be waiting for that long. Okay. Now, Service Pack 2, it has good security, but it wasn't enough. Now, here's the reason why XP Service Pack 2 wasn't enough. As you see, there was no malware detection. You know those little crazy programs that actually mess around with your computer? XP at any level didn't even detect those. Out of the box, of course. There was no built-in antivirus at all. Nothing. There was no protection at all, so you were just naked out there when you installed XP. The Security Center was sort of incomplete. It didn't have everything in there, sort of like the anti-malware protection. And it couldn't be extended. You couldn't grow it to another level. What you saw was what you got. Now, Vista addressed all of these issues as well as a lot more, and we're going to show you how. Windows Vista Security really took a good look at what consumers were saying was wrong with XP and put together this. Vista is completely re-architectured for security, very high security purposes. Now, it is the first, Microsoft's kind of slow on this, first major operating system for Microsoft built on the new government guidelines. Of course, Apple already beat them to it, but who cares? Marketing message actually makes sense this time. Secure by design, secure by default, secure in development. Simply means it's secure out the box. You do not have to go to a website to download the other components to make this thing totally secure. When you install Vista, it's ready to go. That's all people wanted. They just wanted an easier way to interact with their computer. But remember, there's still room for improvement. Vista still lacks some security features. For instance, the user access control, a little bit annoying at times. I'll go over that in a second. There's still no antivirus installed by default. However, you can install a free copy of AVG into the system. That will work. Hackers are still going to hack the system. Vista is great, but unless Vista evolves itself, you're still going to have hackers dealing with the system. It all comes down to customer education. As long as you guys understand, that's my job to teach you, you will be much more aware of what's going to happen this time when it comes to your computer. Now, getting to the nerd level of computers, here's the low-level Vista security feature. This is what's at the bottom level of why Vista is so secure. Remember these guys? Mac, PC, security guy. Oh, these guys are fun. And Mac had a field day ripping Vista apart for the user access control annoyances. And why are they so annoying? Here it is. This is a feature in Vista to protect users from themselves. How does it do it? Well, everything that involves an administrative access, which is a lot of commands, the whole system stops, and asks you a question. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? Are you sure? And you actually have to push an extra button to say, yes, I'm really sure I want to do this. God forbid you have a limited access account. Not only will it stop the world for your input, it will also ask you for an administrative password 4 or 5 times. Now, as a beta tester for Vista, this user access control is much better than the one that we tested. The one we tested even blocked you from deleting files. Every access to the recycle bin prompted a user access control confirmation. Boy, was it annoying. Well, user access control is similar to security features in Unix-like operating systems like OS X of Apple. Except OS X is a little bit better because it's actually smart enough to know who is running the show. OS X knows when the kid is running the show. OS X knows when the adult's running the show. Vista doesn't. Don't worry, Vista's going to be around long enough for us to fix the mistakes we're doing right now. Now, this is perhaps the most rival and misunderstood feature ever designed in Vista because it's new. We never heard of this before. Why would the computer stop us from doing what we want to do? We want freedom. We want control. We're not going to get it with Vista unless you're the super duper password man, and not many people have that right. This is how it works. When your consent is required to complete a task, UIC, like I said, will stop itself. You have to actually answer it, and then it keeps going. Like I said, it works slightly different for security people who do not have administrative rights. Here's a funny little joke here. When Vista comes on the system, The administrator account, which is the root guy who knows everything and doesn't need user access control, is disabled. Yes. You have to do a little trick, which I will not show you because that's not good. But you can enable the administrator account, become the administrator, still have user access control on, but you will not ever see a prompt. That in Unix world is called root. You got root? Now, here's a first thing of consent. We're going to break this down a little bit more so you can visualize what this is before you actually go out there and upgrade every system you have. Take a look at the screen here. The prompt says Windows needs your permission, and then while you see this, you're attempting to change something, a setting, that the computer thinks is harmful. Look at the screen there. It stops you and asks you, are you sure you want this to happen? And then you say allow or cancel. Simple enough, right? All right. Here comes a little bit more trickier one. Okay. Now, when you get this screen, that means you are a real big doo-doo. That means you are not even on the administrator list to receive access and privileges. So what's going to happen is it's going to stop you and say, hey, I don't know who you are, and you're not on my list. You can't come into my club unless you give me not only the password, but give me the username too. So you need 2 pieces of information to get past this wall. That should stop kids from jumping online if they don't have the right privileges. That's pretty cool. The third one is the even more annoying one, because this one deals with executable files. Files that you would normally run on a normal basis, don't have to worry about anything. However, take a look at this prompt. An unidentified program wants access to your computer. Let me show you why this happens. Deep down in Vista, there's something called the kernel. And we're talking about the chicken guy. It's the kernel which controls the whole computer. In older versions of Windows, the kernel was accessed by a lot of programs, which caused a lot of problems. This kernel can only be accessed through one thing, sort of like the only way through God is through Jesus Christ. Same exact thing. The only way you're getting through the kernel is through Vista itself. And Vista is very exclusive on who has access to the kernel. However, though, he'll let you have a chance to give a program access to the kernel by using this prompt right here. If you see that prompt, that means that you actually need to manually give that file access to kernel. What if you don't even know what that file is? Just hit cancel. Don't worry about it. If you think you know what the file is and you don't, well, then the user access control is null and void. Thus, you have to have a bit of knowledge of the computer before you start messing around with this. But what's really happening? All right. Well, the administrator account's now logged in with a mixed token. A mixed meaning that some things I'll have access to and some things I won't. Mixed. Half of this mixed token is a standard user token, like the little kid. The only difference between the little kid and the real little kid is the username and password prompt difference. This is typically used to determine your membership or privileges. That's why I said if you log in as the administrator, the disabled administrator account, you will never be prompted by this again. The other half of this token is the administrator token. This one will allow you to have a little bit more access to the programs, but won't stop you every time to get permission. Rarely will you see this account unless you are either the first user who signed up for the account or the administrator themselves. Now remember, no matter what you do, some of the administrator tasks are always going to be tagged to ask for permission. Now, the problems that people are having with user access control is this. Most Windows users are used to running with full administrative privileges. Remember I told you about XP? Lets you have free reign over the world. You actually have to work your way to limited access. All right. Well, in Vista, even the administrators don't have the access unless you have that hidden access of the administrator. Everyone's going to have equal access whether they're an administrator or not. The way it works is UAC will elevate your privileges if you push the right buttons. It will elevate you to the super account just enough for you to jump over that next bridge and then bring you back down to the standard account user. Now, XP had a limited account access, but it was really, really limited. You couldn't do anything. You couldn't even sneeze in standard limited mode. At least Vista gives you a little bit more leeway, but still you're going to have to deal with it. My advice, don't touch this. Do not disable it. Do not do anything to disable UAC. Why? It's there for your protection. If you don't know much about computers, leave it alone. God forbid, you go out in the woods with no clothes on and wonder why you catch pneumonia. So leave it alone. Now we're going to get a little bit deeper. So if you're not with me, just hang with me. We'll be there in a minute. Now, in Vista, the number of default running services is vastly reduced. For instance, in XP, you have about, I'd say about 70 or 80 processes running at once. In Vista, you'll have 10. Why 10? Because Vista knows you don't need all those stupid processes running. It's smart enough to know, gee, Johnny hasn't used this in 6 weeks. Why do I have it running? I'm going to shut it off. If Johnny needs it again, I'll ask him for permission to turn it on again. Makes sense. The goal is to make the system run faster, right? Well, all those processes slow the computer down. Thus, get rid of them. So, the result, a smaller attack surface, less damage to the system, and less potential for disaster. Now, it's based upon what is called integrity levels. This prevents, remember I said about the kernel? This prevents the kernel from being bothered by unknown or unneeded tasks. As long as the kernel is unbothered, it's free to do what it needs to do, which is keep your system safe. Now, with the kernel, it's run really much by CPU, chip, things like that. Now, memory is something that's very important for Vista. It's a whole